All right, let's go ahead and get Daniel in. Daniel, come on in, sir.
Hello, how are you, Alberto?
Great, folks. Let me introduce you. Daniel is the president of Indivisible Houston, and he covers a lot of the local elections and much more. Daniel, give me your breakdown, your thoughts. Let's start with Harris County. What are your thoughts on Harris County?
I think Harris County look, the Republican Party put together, they came very, very hard for different seats. And I'm going to give you, I'll talk about a little bit of some of the areas where they actually broke through to start. Remember, there are 5 judicial seats where it seems like they're going to break through.
Right.
And so there is that some of those efforts worked. But where they tried hardest of all of their different efforts was at the county judge level.
Right.
Alex Beetler spent millions upon millions of dollars that was handed to her by everyone from local developers, like Weekly Homes, $5 million put into her back pocket, huge money spent by dark money PACs that have popped up overnight, and West Texas billionaires who believe in a dominionist version of Christianity that is essentially a fascist ideology. And they all tucked money into her pocket. Not to mention everyone from Ted Cruz to all of the local Republicans and everybody else putting their thumb on the scale, and they still couldn't do it. Not sure Ted Cruz helped her out, as we all saw at the Astros parade. He's not the most popular guy in town.
That can fly.
But one way or another, at the end of the day, that was not enough. And the Hidalgo campaign was successful because a lot of the hard work that has been put in here in Harris County over the years, and because of all the hard work that has gone into this cycle. I got to give a shout out to a couple of people on that. Diana, if you're listening, you're a hero.
Very much so.
Races the last couple of years or last couple of cycles. And you kept up the fight, and it's the people down at the Cornyn protest and the people who have been block walking, and the clubs in Action Pack and groups like that that did a lot of the hard work that built up that firewall to make sure that 15,000 vote margin showed up today. So
I want to stop you right there, Daniel. I want to stop you right there for one specific reason, because that call out that you made is so important, because we have to keep those people who are supporting candidates that support the people engage. And you're correct. Diana wrote a hell of a piece. In fact, I carried it and interviewed her for the piece as well. And many others working. We did something with the Clubs in Action just last week that we posted and made sure a whole lot of people saw that. I want all these politicians to know, the ones who got elected, right, to remember. I want them to remember how they got there. And to serve the people. These activists are the ones who did it. They are the ones who engage people. In other words, activism and groundwork will beat millions of dollars any day. And the work that you do and many others in this county and throughout this country do are the ones who win elections for you. Continue, please. I just wanted to reiterate that, Daniel.
Oh no, I think you're absolutely right. I think you're looking at, for the first time in history, you're looking at a 4-1 commissioner's court. I think it was a major discussion point this cycle, and it has been recently, about underrepresentation of the Latino community in Harris County. And now you look at commissioner's court; it's 3 out of 5 members of the court
are
Latinos. So I think that this has been a seismic shift since 2018 in what and really since 2016 in many respects, and even a little bit before that.
Right.
Let's say over the last decade or so, we've seen a seismic shift in what's going on in Harris County. We've seen massive movement on the ground, and it's going to have to continue because, one, these folks are not going to just take their money and go home. They're going to keep trying to buy our county.
Exactly.
And two, a 4-1 Democratic Commissioner's Court doesn't mean that it's a lock for all the policies that you want. You got to advocate, right?
I want to talk to you about that because that is something that has to be watched. In other words, a lot of people think, all the folks that we got into power, now we know that the people that we serve, which is all the people, that they're going to do what needs to be done. Of course, we know better. Tell us a little bit about that. What do we have to watch out for?
Well, so Judge Hidalgo has passed a truly revolutionary progressive agenda in a positive way over the last few years. We now have universal pre-K in Harris County and full-throated support for the Harris County Department of Education. We've seen improvements along the lines of health services that have been offered, and we've seen she had to fend off this extreme position and just outright lying propaganda campaign from the from the bail bond industry and Republicans who were trying to buy our seat. Just a very cynical campaign that was chock full of lies that were so brilliantly dispelled on some of your recent shows regarding bail reform. That bail reform, the county bail reform, misdemeanor bail reform that was implemented was nothing short of it was a huge change that gave so many people their rights back, and the bail bond industry didn't like it and ran a campaign based on lies surrounding it for this entire cycle, so that they could pad their pockets. So that, and there's so many other things we could talk about, but what I'm getting at is these changes wouldn't have happened if we hadn't seen the court change in 2018. And these changes are not guaranteed in the next court, because when you have a 4-1 majority, it changes the dynamics. You no longer have a thin majority of 3 people who have to stick together. You have some ideological discrepancies within the majority on the court. So we might even argue that you need people even more so now to call their commissioners, to call the county judge, to show up to commissioners court, to advocate, write editorials, drop letters to the editor, to protest, to do whatever it is, and whatever it is that it takes to make sure that we see the fruits of all of the labor of activists, that we continue to see the expansion of healthcare programs in Harris County, that we continue to see reform so that we don't have a jail that is an eyesore, a black eye on us, a moral black eye on us as a county that's nationally and sometimes even internationally pointed to as an enormous problem. That's going to take advocacy, because if we don't advocate, people will settle back into their roles and vendors will begin to knock at the door again. The judge has turned down vendor money, that's for sure. But what about the rest of the commissioners? I mean, there's a lot more work that needs to be done to make sure to hold these people accountable to what they said on their website, but also to move them from the positions that they have that are not aligned with the people who did all that work to make sure that they got into office. So, yeah, in a lot of ways, I mean, the work, I won't say the work starts now because it started before, but it sure needs to continue.
I am glad you said that the work starts now. It's an important thing that you just said there. We have to hold all of them accountable, because when, folks might look and say, oh, we have a 4-1 court that somehow is more progressive and will do more progressive things. At the same time, we have to watch absolutely all of them to ensure that that is exactly what happens, and knowing that the activists who put them, the activists who actually got them there will continue to have watchful eyes are important. And I think what you're saying there is so, I mean, what you said there with respect to, we don't know that they're going to follow what they claim they're going to follow on their websites, etc., is extremely important, Daniel. Now let's go ahead and expand a little bit further now. Let's go to the state. We're talking to the county level. Now let's look at the state. Talk to me about what was Beto's problem, what was Collier's problem, what was Garcia's problem.
Look, let me just preface this by saying we need some time here, to really figure out what happened and because even if we had all the data in front of us immediately, we'd still need to take the time to read it, and then you need time to think on it and meditate and digest. And you got to look at that in context of anything that happens over the next few months, because the story can change, right? What people felt yesterday might be different in a month or two. So I just want to preface it with that, because I see a lot of pundits out there that I think there's a whole cottage industry dedicated to folks they have to speak more confidently than they actually have any right to be. And I don't want to fall into that. So the morning after election, I always try to temper that a little bit. But what I will say is a couple of things that I think these are clear. Mm-hmm. One is people should look, maybe your ideology is a little different than Beto, whatever it is. But if you wanted to see pushback against a far-right extremist, election-denying, anti-democratic Republican push in the state of Texas, then you owe Beto a thank you.
Right.
Because he barnstormed the valley, he barnstormed the cities, And he definitely added to the margins in large counties, and he definitely added to the margins in the valley, where there were 3 seats that were up for grabs. I mean, I've talked to you before about it. I'm not shy about it. I don't really think very much of Henry Cuellar, but nevertheless, if you if you had any interest in how some of these races turned out, you owe it a little bit. I mean, you got to owe the credit. You got to give it to Beto O'Rourke that he went down there and did that. He fought an uphill fight. We're a state that we've very commonly said that Texas is a non-voting state, not a red state. I do think that we need to calibrate our statement on that a little bit, to be a little bit more nuanced, because it seems to give people the impression that if we just brought people out, that we would flip it. But every vote is a persuasion vote.
Exactly.
My friend Nisha says that we need to be persuading people all the time. We shouldn't assume how people vote one way or another, but we should give them the benefit of the doubt that if we get to have a conversation about their values, about what they think, about what the truth is, then we'll be able to persuade them. But we have to persuade them. We have to have that conversation, and we have to inform them.
Let me tell you, Daniel, I respect everything that Beto O'Rourke did, and I am not one of those that are going to be there hidden Beto or hidden Collier or hidden Garcia or any. I am very happy that these guys went out there and opened up 254 counties in Texas. They may not have been successful in winning themselves, but they sure as hell opened the door for a lot. I spoke to some folks in Cleveland and other places Cleveland, Texas, where just him going out there and making folks know I am there. Now, there are other things that need to be done, and it's not for Beto to do it, but it's for the grassroots to do it. All those rural areas that won't get their hospitals back because Greg Abbott is not going to sign on to the Medicaid expansion to the Affordable Care Act. We needed to have a grassroots culture in those areas, letting folks know that your hospital closed because they refused to accept the money. We needed to do that grassroots work, and it's a learning experience, and we'll do it. And on the internet, I want to welcome Dilbert Doe and Hijack Sarafani, as well as Bronx, New York, Nolan Dearborn, Sophia Williams, Joan Mara. Thank you for watching us here on the internet. But Daniel, give me a closer. I need to go to Baba Chakwe.
Yeah, sure. I mean, everybody keep up the fight. If you don't know how, you can always reach out to Indivisible Houston. That's Indivisible, like One Nation Indivisible Houston, like this wonderful city that we live in, .org, indivisiblehouston.org. And let's get in touch. Remember to keep pushing. Remember to keep fighting for sure. And change is here. We talked about it after 2020. We're not, these fascists are not going to take the country. They're not taking the county. But we've got to materialize that. We've got to make that happen. But I'm going to be danged if that's going to happen. And I think there are a lot of people out there who believe that too. And if you're one of those people, I mean, it doesn't matter how long you've been engaged in politics or if you know what it's like or what's going on in it, there is something that you can do. So I would just say everybody keep pushing, but continue to, and if you haven't been engaged before, there's still room for you. Welcome to democracy. I appreciate you. And thanks for being a member of the Free and Independent Press, Egberto.
Thank you so kindly, Daniel. And you keep up the great work. You're respected out here, brother. All right? We spend a lot of time deconstructing the news, trying to parse it into a form that everybody can understand. We try to find those little nitpicks where it flies above the fray, etc. If you really like these videos that we do, I want to ask a big favor. Please go ahead. Number 1, subscribe to our channel. And number 2, please join if you can. Thank you so kindly for watching. Keep watching. Please remember to share. We must populate the entire internet with our progressive message, a message that we know is what most Americans say that they want. So help us, please join.